Fighting fraud, the month-long paper tag investigation, setting off major moves in Austin. And hazy North Texas skies, smoke from wildfires hundreds of miles away, blowing into the region. The big cold front that'll clear it out. Plus, new help in the battle against COVID. The hundreds of new nurses set to join the front lines in Texas.
You're watching NBC 5 News at 10.
Good evening, everyone. We start with a major step toward cracking down on the illegal sale of Texas paper license tags. A DMV advisory committee is recommending tough new background checks on small car dealers. This comes just 5 weeks after NBC5 Investigates exposed the massive scale of the fraud and how flaws in the DMV system are allowing criminals to make millions. Senior investigative reporter Scott Friedman has been tracking all this from Austin.
The fight against paper tag fraudsters moved from the streets to DMV headquarters today. An advisory committee unanimously recommending the DMV start fingerprinting small car dealers to stop crooks from getting dealers' licenses and then using them to sell real temporary tags.
The bottom line is, unless we get the fingerprinting done, we're not going to know who the criminals are.
Last month, an NBC5 investigation used the DMV's own records to show how small dealers, some that seem to exist only on paper, have been able to issue hundreds of thousands of temporary tags. Undercover law enforcement officers showed us how they could buy tags online from some of the suspect dealers we identified. And we discovered the DMV does not vet dealer applicants in person or fingerprint them before giving them a license. After our reporting, the DMV director said her agency would consider tougher background checks.
This is absolutely an emergency. We're looking at every possible solution we can to expedite the process.
In addition to fingerprinting non-franchise dealers, the DMV Advisory Committee is also recommending on-site inspections at each new dealer location.
Dealer after dealer has a false identity. We can't figure out who they are.
Committee member Mike Bradburn is also a detective with a unit that investigates paper tag fraud. He's investigated dealers opened by people using stolen identities.
Fingerprinting the actual person that comes in here or goes and gets it done, you're going to know who they are, flat out.
But DMV staff is still trying to determine if the agency needs approval from the legislature before it can fingerprint dealers. If it does, the legislature's not back in session until the year after next. Prominent State Senator Royce West says the governor should consider bringing lawmakers back sooner to address the problem.
We've called special sessions for a lot of what I think is nonsense. This isn't nonsense. Maybe the governor needs to call a special session to address this issue.
Without faster action, he fears illegally sold tags will be used in more crimes. Police already point to drug smugglers and thieves using illegal paper tags to hide their identities. West says the DMV may need more help to combat the problem.
And to the extent that there's gaps that are left, which would be funding, okay, then the legislature needs to come in and provide the funding.
Governor Abbott's office did not immediately respond to Senator West's comments, but a spokesperson told us recently the governor will continue to work with the DMV and the legislature on more changes that might be needed. Since our reports, the head of the Transportation Committee in the House has also pledged to hold hearings on the issue as soon as possible. In Austin, Scott Friedman, NBC5 Investigates.
That DMV Advisory Committee is also recommending the agency limit the number of tags that a small independent dealer can issue. The limit would be 900 tags a year in hopes of stopping rogue dealers from selling thousands of tags.